And I know most about Gates, because I've written a book about him, and that what he calls philanthrocapitalism, which is you use philanthropy to make yourself rich, and you use it strategically, and that's what he's done again and again. He's gotten control of the World Health Organization so that they mandate vaccines all over the world, and the companies that make those vaccines are Gates is, in many of them, the major shareholder. And so, and he did the same thing with the Green Revolution. He got a hold of the regulatory agencies in African countries and forced them to take to change the nature of agriculture. There's 20,000 generations of agriculture of people growing crops like sorghum and plantains and yucca and all these plants for subsistence. And he said, no, we're going to transfer them all to these, GMO monocultures of corn, and then we're going to bring in companies that he owns, Kraft, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, these big food companies, processing companies, to buy that, and that's going to be the deal. And of course, during COVID, all of that shut down, and you had, there's 30 million Africans now as a direct result of Gates' policy who are now on the edge of starvation.
Looking at this, kind of have a word because it tells how Bill Gates operates, using philanthropy to take hold of governments, and that is so shameful that somebody can just come with charity, and just by giving stuff, somebody can get the autonomy to create or dictate a country's policy. That tells you everything that you need to know about politicians. Like there are like gunslingers for hire, them will kill out the whole country, set up the worst policy, everything, as long as they can justify it and make it look like good publicity and line them pockets. And it kind of have more because I'm in Jamaica, and I know that Bill Gates has donated money to my country, to the library service, I believe, to the Jamaica Library Service. I'm not sure when. I think it was about $1 million or so. Figures is wrong, but I know he definitely donated to that, and that's on the surface. But below the surface, just theorizing what type of backdoor deals or what type of influence may have been bought is like, so um it's a good thing that he write this book, and I think that every government should take note and not sell out their countries, and beware that when people come with gifts and charities and so forth, it often come with strings attached, because what they're doing is called economic colonialism. Economic colonialism. I don't know. Economic colonialism. Yeah, that's what they're doing. You know, and even China is doing it. The highways and so that would build and so forth, and they're doing the same thing in Africa, building railroads. Every country is doing it really. USA was doing it with the USAID, and that was pushing the world toward this LGBT gay woke thing. That Trump has ended. He took away the rainbow flags, and apart from that, um, they were enabling the persecution of Christian targets, as a person who is targeted for nothing other than being a Christian, using past mistakes as justification, through these woke these woke LGBT CIA type things, where basically they use terrorists or thugs and criminals with a program called gang stalking that was created by George Bush for like people of faith. So um, basically, anybody who, or I don't want to straight too much up. Basically, every country do it. China was doing it, and they donated. I'm not sure which African nation, but this is something I saw in a documentary. Like they built a house of parliament for this country, and gave them all the furniture and computers. And I don't know how long down the line, like how much months down the line or so, they checked, and they discovered that there were surveillance equipment, spying equipment that were in the building, like in the furniture and whatever. The whole building was rigged to like spy on them and so forth. So Um, that's basically what they do, you know. So even the IMF was that, because the whole thing was the IMF was to keep countries um, in poverty and dictate policies. So when you say you want a loan now, they dictate policies that is counterproductive to your country, that will get you in more, that make it hard to pay, you know, and then they can rule the country by that, because they don't need to be in charge, but by stipulating policies based on your economic need, basically they're running the country. What crops are produced, the same thing too. We used to have a lot of milk in Jamaica. We had a wonderful, vibrant dairy industry, and due to the IMF, I believe, or so, when they first the loan, it was stipulated that we should like bring in more milk powder and so forth, and we started to take the milk powder, and it basically killed out our dairy industry. It's a fraction of what it was. You know, people don't really buy milk again. Everybody gets buy Lasco or some sort of milk powder or so, which those things have like other things. It's not healthy for you. Not healthy for you. Because basically they want to sicken the nation, get you sick and medication and so forth, and use the food and the drugs to formulate the growth of um, intestinal parasites and things of, you know, basically that's how it is really. So um, if you live in a country and you see your country accepting gifts from these globalist people, then be very afraid and exercise scrutiny and question them about it, you know. And even though they won't overtly speak about it, look at policy change and shift that may be a result of that, and hold them accountable, you know. So thank God for people like RFK and Trump, who and JD Vance, who is against the censorship which is happening in places like the UK and so, you know, called this globalist policies. If you want to see what the world will be like if all these people get their wish, look at places like Europe, look at places like China, you know, where China is also run by the same people. It's one family, it's one thing, you know. North Korea, South Korea, the same thing. They're all under control, you know. So, and the Illuminati bloodline is there. That's how they was able to use China to make COVID, you know, and give it to them own people. I spoke about that in like a previous video, but I just want to reiterate that, you know, that's what the world will look like, you know, like UK, where them put you in jail if you say something bad about somebody online. There's this man, them come for him at 4 o'clock in the morning because he said something bad about a normal person, not even a member of government. And our cover on in Jamaica, it's kind of going down that a similar road, where if you say something bad about a government official, in particular in the past it has seemed like the prime minister, like if you're, you know, then them come for you, you know. And I know something is like illegal by law, you know. So as in instigated violence, threatening somebody's life or so forth. But it just kind of look weird in the sense that crime is so rampant and unsolvable, and them can't find anybody. But the minute you step out of line with somebody in power, then you're found and prosecuted very quick. That's the that double standard is very telling, you know. And them say, if you want to know who run the country or who is in charge of you, find out who you cannot criticize. And in this world, you cannot criticize politicians, and you cannot criticize um, the Pope and the Vatican. You cannot criticize Muslims, and you cannot criticize gay people or the Zionists or the Jews. And from my research, I found out that the Zionists, the Jews are in charge, they're the head. The Vatican is the administrator, is the Pope, so like, you know, and you know, America is the gun and the army. America is the right hand, Russia is the left hand, and Muslims are the kill teams designed to kill Christians, as was confessed by a Jesuit priest called Albert Rivera. He's the one who said that they created the Muslim to kill out Christians during the um, during the Crusades and so forth. You know, so many people don't know that. There's a reason why Muhammad is a pedophile and married a child, and there's a reason, for the same reason there's pedophilia in the Catholic Church and so forth. And the Illuminati believe in sex matchup with children, why so much children go missing throughout the years, you know. Anyway,